Hello guys, we are back with our next lecture. In this lecture, let us go through the concept of a process scheduling, guys. Okay. So the main objective of a so basically, why do we learn this process scheduling, guys? So if you recall, in the last lecture, we discussed about process state diagram, right? Yes, I kept those caps here itself. So basically, whenever there are three processes in ready state, so which processor to select for running? Okay, similarly, if there are three processes in ready state, so which to take first, then which. So these kind of orders should be fixed based on some parameters, right? Yes. So that process is we call it as a process scheduling, guys. So scheduling means what, guys? So why do we have schedule in our colleges, in our classes? So schedule is nothing but the timetable, guys. So basically from this time to this time you will have this class. So why do we have those things? To maintain order, right? Yes. Okay. So the main objective of a multi-programming is to have some processor running at all time to maximize the CPU utilization, right? Yes. So the main reason why we use these things, guys, to maximize our CPU utilization, because whenever, so let me revise it once again so that you will get a clear idea. So whenever there are three different processes waiting for CPU, and among them one is executing here, so assume that suddenly this process got a requirement with input output. So what it will do, it will leave the CPU and some other will take action in CPU, right? Yes. So here what are we exactly trying to do, guys? So we are always trying to keep the CPU busy, right? Yes. So we are trying always to increase the CPU utilization. So that is what really important, right? So if you are having a computer with some highest specs, so at that time if you are not using it, what is its use, guys? If you are having an i9 processor and you are just keeping your computer just for some Excel work or some Word work like PDFs or reading something or using a web or something, so at that time why do you need an i9 processor with the 9th generation or 7th generation, right? So even with the i3 processor you can manage it, right? Yes. So here the CPU will not be utilized in a proper way. Got it? Yes. So we always want to utilize the CPU in a more way, guys. Okay. Yes. The object of time sharing is to switch the CPU. So the same definitions, guys. The object of time sharing system is to switch the CPU among processes so frequently that the user can interact with each program while it is running. So we already know it, right? So the programs will be switching among themselves as per requirement. Okay. So you can read the definitions, guys. So most of the time I will be trying to skip them because whatever I am explaining, that is what it is written in English, right? Yes. Okay. So now coming to scheduling a queue, guys. So whenever we are having any kind of a process to be done, so what does a process have, guys? If you recall, each and every process will have a PCB, right? Yes. So which will contain all the information. So basically PCB is the ruler, guys, right? Yes. So he is going to contain each and every information. So your process is in which state, process number, like that there are multiple fields, right? Yes. So everything will be stored in this PCB. So basically whenever we are going to maintain these items in the queue, so basically assume that these three items are there, right? Okay, so one is a brown, one is a blue, and one is a green. So assume that this guy came first, so I will give the first position to this guy. So after that blue came means I will give second position. So in that way we are going to maintain their PCB queues, PCB in the queue, guys. So based on the requirement we will be pushing them one after the other. Okay, so schedule queue. So a processor enters the system, they are put into a job queue which consists of all processes in the system. Okay, so here we are going to store all the processes in this order. Okay, so based on the requirement, so if one after the other we will be executing, right? Yes. So header linked list is used in Unix, the above example. So head is nothing but the above linked list metadata. So tail is nothing but the last address. So basically here it is a header linked list, right? So basically here it is pointing to this. So you can understand in this way, guys. So basically if you are here, you can go here, you can go here, and similarly from here you can go to the end also, right? Yes. So basically what is the advantage with this node is, so assume that suddenly this node has been destroyed, guys, or lost. So at that time we think that this is the end node, right? But this is not the end node, because this guy will be saying that it is not the end. There is one more node which is missing. So that's what it says, right? Yes. So for that only we will be using this header linked lists. Okay. Yes. So now coming on to the next part, the processes that are residing in the main memory are in a ready to execute are kept on a list of ready queue. So that's what I told you, right? So this ready queue is nothing but that only. Okay. So a ready queue header consists of pointer to the first and the final PCB. So it will point to first and final PCB. So why it will point to the first PCB? Because once the current execution is done, this particular first PCB will get a chance into CPU. And why it will point to final PCB? Because if there are 100 items like this, and if unfortunately somewhere the link breaks, we can never identify that whether the link has been broken or not. So that is the reason why one link will be pointing the last node. So basically if both of these links are pointing to the same node, then you will understand that that is the end. Got it? Yes. Okay, PCB including the pointer. Okay, yes. So now moving on to the ready queue. So basically the first type we discussed is a scheduling queue, right? Yes. So now it is a ready queue. Okay, so ready queue is also a part of this only, right? So, sorry, just give me a second. Okay, so ready queue. So this is also a queue, the same concept guys. Scheduling queue is also same, ready queue is also same almost. So each rectangle box represents a queue. Two types of queues are represented. Okay, the ready queue and a set of device queue. So basically whenever something is ready, so there could be processes or there could be some input output device also, right? So something like keyboard, so it is also ready to take the input. So in that way, so it might be anything. Okay, yes. So the circle represents the server. Just give me a second, I think there's a diagram here, right? Yes. Okay. Okay, so the circles represent the input output operation and the CPU guys. Okay, and for easy understanding, let me explain you from here only directly, because that will be easy, right? Yes. Okay, so what exactly ready queue says is, so whenever a process is in a ready queue, okay, so whenever a process is in ready queue, one of these processes will compulsory be in CPU guys. Okay, and if this CPU is requested for an input output device, so this will start from here and it will go to this IO request, and some other process based on the scheduling thing, it will come here. Okay, and once this process is here, this will execute continuously, and once this process is here, it will enter into the queue, it will do that IO operation and it will join back in the queue. And assume that now this process wants to do some fork. So basically fork is a system call guys. Okay, so fork is a system call using which you can duplicate this thing. So let me check, do I have any other brown color thing? I think I don't have, so yeah, I can take the reverse one, right? Just give me a second. Okay, so it's a bit tall, but it's okay, right? Yes. So assume that this is the parent. So once this guy comes here, okay, and this guy will be generating its children, right? So assume that this is the parent is a bit tall, and this is the children. So basically this children will start executing, right? Yes. So in this way now it has been duplicated. So these two guys will be coming again here. So in that way this will work guys. So basically a process can wait for input output request, can make fork, or sometimes there could be some important request like VVIP. So assume that this brown guy is a VVIP and he will not wait for anyone. He will force anyone who is in the CPU to send out, and he will do his work and he will leave. So if that is the case, this green guy will be coming here and he will come to the interrupt and he will come back to the queue, where this blue guy will, this brown guy will execute and he will leave. Got it? Yes. And when it comes to time slice expiring, so whenever you are talking about any kind of system, most of the systems always use the concept of time slice guys. So if there are 3 processes here, and assume that each of these processes will take 1 hour each guys. So at that time, if this guy is executing for 1 hour, what are these 2 guys will be doing? So that is the reason why we divide this 1 hour into some period, like around 1 minute. So first minute will be executed by this guy and he will come to this expired slice. So the slice here is a time slice is 1 minute. Okay, so once he is executed, he will join back. Okay, and this guy will execute again for 1 minute, he will also join back, again for 1 minute, he will also join back. So in this way they will rotate for around 60 times, and at the end all of them will be done. Got it? Yes. So that is the whole concept of ready queue guys. So this is how the ready queue will work. Okay, yes. Okay, so now if you observe here carefully, I am saying multiple times that among these 3, I am always selecting the first guy, right? But there should be some criterion based on the selection, right? Yes. So that criteria will be taken care by the schedulers, guys. Okay. So there are, guys, I'll be giving you an overview here, because you can just go through the book. I wrote everything in detail, like step by step. If you want, you can directly read from the book also. Okay. Yes. So schedulers are totally of 3 different types, guys. So the first type is a short-term scheduler. Okay, so what exactly short-term scheduler does is, a short-term scheduler selects a element or a particular process from a ready queue and it pushes to running queue. So what it is taking care? It is taking care from a ready to running. So here it is taking care by short-term scheduler, right? Yes. So that is the goal of it, right? Yes. Similarly, long-term scheduler. So what does a long-term scheduler does? Long-term scheduler takes care about transferring a particular process from a new state to ready state. So this thing will be taken care by our long-term scheduler. Okay. Yes. Similarly, when it comes to middle term scheduler, so this is the main thing you can say, right? Yes. So, okay. Yes. So basically he is the one who will take care, guys. So here we discussed this thing, right? So in the same way, for this middle term scheduler, we are having a particular concept, guys. So whenever a process comes here, so it is in ready queue. So once it reaches the CPU, okay, so assume that now one more process wants to execute, or this process needs to go for input output. So let us assume the first case first. So assume that this guy wants to go for input output. So he will come here. So someone will be coming here. So this guy will execute his input output and come back. So assume that now Brown is the king and he wants to execute. So we will force this guy and we will swap out. So basically swap out is nothing but we are sending this guy outside, right? So swapping out him, okay, and we will be swapping him inside, and this brown guy will start execution, and once he is completely done, we will give the next option to the next guy, right? Yes. So in this way the middle term scheduler will work, guys. So he is going to take care of these kind of things, okay? So the key idea behind a middle term scheduler is that sometimes it can be an advantage to remove a process from the memory, okay? So we are going to remove it from the CPU or memory, okay, and thus reduce the degree of multiprogramming, okay? Swapping concept is used here, right? Yes. Okay, so now you are getting some basic idea with respect to this, right? Yes. Okay, so there are a total of 3 different cases here, guys. Okay, so process enters ready queue, moving to CPU, and execution is done. So basically these are the 3 cases. I told you one will be going directly. So he will come to the CPU, he will complete his work. Someone might swap in, swap out. Someone will input output. So that's what I have written clearly in 3 steps, guys. Until here, the same concept. Okay. Yes. So now moving on to the in-depth diagram for state chart diagram. Process state diagram. So this is the full diagram for process state diagram, guys. So initially it will start at a new, then a process can come into ready. From ready it will go to running, from running to terminate. So this is the traditional method, right? Yes. So now moving on to the next step. So assume that if there is a system interrupt, so it will start here. So let me take this. So it will start in a new, ready, run. So if some other processor comes and says that he wants to execute first, so this guy will be swapped out and this guy will be swapped in. Yes. So with that reason, this arrow will be coming. So it is called as a priority or time quantum has been expired. Okay. And assume that now this guy is required some input output operation. So at that time he will come out for input output request, right? Yes. And this guy will be taking place here. Okay. Sometimes even the input output device might also be busy, right? So assume that in this way, guys. So this might be a bit funny, but just assume in that way. So assume that there are 2 devices here and both of those devices wants to use a microphone, guys. Okay, so if both of those devices want to use microphone, only one of them can use at a time, right? So the other guy will be in this suspended wait, guys. Means he is waiting for this process to be done. So once this process goes to ready queue, he will come out and he will start his execution. Got it? Yes. So that is the importance of this. And similarly, if the ready queue is full, so assume that the capacity of ready queue is only 1. So at that time, this guy should be waiting somewhere, right? So he will be waiting in suspended ready. Got it? Yes. So this is the in-depth diagram for state chart, but this will never be asked, and most of the time we never cover this particular topic, guys. Okay, this particular diagram. Okay. Yes. The basic one will be more than enough. Okay. Yes. So now moving on to the concept of dispatcher. So dispatcher is nothing but it is going to take care of these transfers, guys. So the dispatcher is the module that gives control to the CPU to the process selected by the short-term scheduler. So what is a short-term scheduler doing, guys? It is a selecting from ready to running, right? Yes. So the dispatcher should be very fast as possible since it invokes during the program switching, right? Yes. Okay. Yes. So now you're getting an idea, right? Yes. So most of the time in this whole lecture, I think everyone thinks that this lecture is a bit tough, but it's okay, guys, because this topic you need to remember these 3 terminologies. That's it. And you need to know what it will do. That's it. Right? Yes. So everywhere I am saying scheduler, but I never told what logic will be used. Like if these 3 guys are there, among these 3 guys, how you will select? Based on their how much time they each take, or based on the first who came first. So those are the scheduling algorithms, guys. So those algorithms we will be discussing in our future lectures, guys. Okay. Yes. So in the next lecture we'll be introducing the CPU bound and input bound, and after that we'll be discussing some basics about context switching, primitive and non-primitive. Okay. Yes. So I hope everyone got a clear idea with respect to this process scheduling, all the terminology. So in the next lecture, let us continue with the next topic. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Like, share and subscribe for more awesome videos like this. Thank you.